Okay, we're up to the Mishnah on Pei Beis Amud Aleph. On Pei Beis Amud Aleph, it seems to be an innocuous Mishnah, but it turns out to be a difficult Gemara. Says the Mishnah. This is a classic Mishnah. A tinoikes, you're not ma'ana, you don't pay him on Yom Kippur, says Rashi. You're not chayiv to withhold from them Michael. Mashma, according to Rashi, if the child doesn't want to eat, it's okay. Then you'd let him. Rashi says you don't hold him back. I mean, if he wants to eat, you let him eat. Mashma, if he doesn't want to eat, you don't. The Rambam disagrees. The Rambam says, no, you have to feed him. According to Rashi, you don't have to aggressively feed him. You just passively hold back. Now, Now, you would think, the big oilam sitting here, you would think that the chiyuv would begin a year before, 11 for a girl and 12 for a boy. That's the way I would learn pshat. But if you look at the words of the Mishnah, that's not what it says, according to Rashi. Al lifnei shana, meaning a year before a year before the year before. Shana means the year before 12, the year before 13, lifnei shana. So it's mashma ulifnei shana. So Rashi learns, fellas, that 2 years or 3 years. So it's either the age of 10 for a girl or 9 for a girl, 11 for a boy or 10 for a boy. Lifnei shana ulifnei shana, meaning the shana is a year before the 12. The shana is a year before the 13. Let's just stay with the one that we get confused. So let's take a girl of 13. Shana means a year before that. That's a girl 12. A year before that is 11. Lifnei shana, you begin to teach them lifnei shana at the age of 10. Oishin asayim, of the age of 9, to fast for hours. That's what the Mishnah means. That's the way Rashi learns pshat in the Mishnah. Okay, and it's going to be mashma like that in the Gemara as well. So, guys, you hear. If you would just learn the Mishnah Stam, you would say, well, I know what the halacha is. The year before we begin to mechanech a kid, that's not pshat in the Mishnah. The diak is shana, lifnei shana, or shenasayim. Now, the Gemara asks the obvious question. Hashta lifnei shenasayim. If 2 years before you're going to go ahead, if they shana boy, if 3 years before you're going to be mechanech, 3 years before, then 2 years before you're not, right? What's going on over here? You're telling me, according to Rashi, from 9 you're already beginning to be mechanech. You have to tell me from 10 you're going to be mechanech. So I'm Rav Chisda like Kash, it's not a problem. Ha b'chayla, ha b'bari. Ha b'chayla, one is speaking about a chayla, ha b'bari. A chayla you begin 2 years before. A bari you'd begin, a healthy one you begin 3 years before. That's pshat in the Mishnah, according. Now, we're going to go ahead and see a machloikes amoraim, not in the Mishnah. We're going to have machloikes amoraim stam. They're not explaining the Mishnah. But then we're going to go ahead and ask on one of the amoraim from the Mishnah. So kidarki, I'm going to go ahead and do it outside before we see it inside. This is Rav Huna, Rav Nachman. This is speaking about a girl, and this is speaking about a boy. So if it's a healthy, this is what we just said. If it's a healthy, he just says 8, and he says 9. If it's the Rabbanan, you're going to go ahead, and at the age of 8 in a day, you're going to begin to go ahead and train them to fast a few hours. For a healthy, for someone who's sick, it's going to be 9 in a day. For someone who's sick, it's going to be 9 years in a day. Lahashlama midrabanan, meaning to complete the fast, even before the mechuyev. In other words, lahashlama, to complete the fast. Healthy, you're going to complete it at 10. Chayla, you're going to at 11. And the raisa is going to be at 12. So 3 times. Hours, completion the Rabbanon, completion the raisa. Again, they're not saying Pshana Mishnah, guys. They're not saying Pshana Mishnah. This is their own Pshat. You're going to begin at the age of 8, training a healthy person, a healthy girl to fast a few hours. At the age of 10, she's going to complete it, mid-Rabbanon. At the age of 12, she's going to complete it deraisa. Rav Nechemia says, no, No, that wasn't the same thing. A chayla is just one up at a year. 10, 8, 8, 10, 9, 11, and 11. Now 12. Rabbi Yochanan disagrees. He says healthy is going to be from 10, unhealthy is going to be from Yud Aleph, and you only train for hours. There's no idea whatsoever of completing a tainus d'Rabbanan. It doesn't exist. And then you're going to complete it deraisa at the age of 12. That's why they say by a girl, by a boy, they up it 1 year. Ches over here becomes tes over here. Tes over here becomes yud over here. Good. So now, according to Rav Huna and Rav Nachman, you have a healthy child. That the Rabbanan, it's going to start training at 9, complete at 11, with the rice at 13. Unhealthy, train a few hours at 10, complete at 12, with the rice here. Rabbi Yochanan says no. Healthy 11, unhealthy 12, and complete at 13. Now, this is their shittas. The question is, which fits in the Mishnah more? Which fits in the Mishnah more? So let's see the Gemara and let's see how it works out. Okay, let's see how it works out. Okay, I'm going to keep this screen on the screen because I can see all of you. Says the Gemara. Amar Rav Huna, ben ches u ben tes mechanchem esoy l'shois. There you guys speaking about a girl. Ben ches u ben tes mechanchem l'shois, whether it's healthy or unhealthy. Ben yud u ben yud aleph mashlimin midrabanon. That's the second column. Yud yud aleph, you're going to go ahead and complete. Ben yud beis mashlimin midaraisa, and 12 you'll complete the raisa. The tinoikis. That's by a tinoikis. Rav Nachman says ben tes ben yud mechanchem esoy l'shois. I hope I'm recording this.
It says recording on my screen.
Okay, good. Ben tes ben yud mechamchem esol asashos ben yud alf beis b'shem midraban ben yud gimel mashlim midaraisa b'tinoik by a male. Okay, so you just gave me you just did this column, guys. We did this, and this, and this. Rabbi Yochanan says no. Rabbi Yochanan says hashlama d'Rabbanan leka. There's no such thing as hashlama d'Rabbanan. Thus, look at the chart. This doesn't exist, and this doesn't exist. There's no hashlama. There's training a few hours, and then there's completion deraisa. And what does he say? Ben yud aleph mechanchem say las l'shois. When it comes to be what? When it comes to yud, or this is speaking about a girl, yud or yud aleph, depending whether it's sick or not, and ben yibei mashlim deraisa tanan b'tinoikis. Okay, so now that's his name. Now tanan, we're going to ask a kasha. A tinoikis, ein ma'anin. I don't have the full chart over here. Here's the full chart. It's a little small. How to make it bigger? Okay. Oh, gosh. Guys, take a look. We're now going to try to fit into the Mishnah, the Pshatim over here. So again, what was our Mishnah? We needed a 2 and a 3, correct? Guys, our Mishnah, we needed a 2 and a 3. So this would work. According to Rav Huna and Rav Nachman, watch. This yud, and this, so for this would be 2 years before this is 3 years by Lefnei Sayim of Hashlama d'Rabbanan. This would be 2 years before the Hashlama d'Rabbanan. You begin at Yud, and you're going to have a completion at Yud Beis. That's 2 years, right? From Yud to Yud Beis is 2 years, correct? And from here to Yud Gimel is 3 years. So this pshat can fit in our Mishnah. Our Mishnah, we need a 2 and a 3, correct? So we have the possibility. This is 2 years before this, and this is 3 years before this. But according to Rabbi Yochanan, who says it's a year, here it's 2, here it's 1, how are you going to fit? Here it's 2, here it's 1, how are you going to fit? So he takes out the word lifnei in our Mishnah. He says the Mishnah, go look at our Mishnah, guys. Hatinoikis emanos sabiyam kippa aval mechamchnoi soy shana ushana sayim, either a year before or 2 years before. So then Rabbi Yochanan would come out very well. It's speaking about here is a year before. For a healthy person, it's from Yud Aleph to Yud Gimel is 2 years. An unhealthy would be from 1 to 2, from 12 to 13 is 1 year. So he comes out. In other words, what did we just do? According to our Mishnah, it's 2 to 3. So therefore, we have Rav Nachman being 2 to 3. Yud Achoila is what? Is 2. A healthy person is 3. However, according to Rabbi Yochanan, you only have a 1 and a 2. So how do you fit 2 and a 3? Because he takes out the word lefnei shana, and he says you only, like we learn, you only go ahead and begin training a child 1 year before or 2 years before. 1 year for a healthy, 2 years for unhealthy, and that would be pshat in our Mishnah. Okay, so let's see now. Now I just gave you the Gemara. Let's see it in the words of the Gemara, because again, it's a little bit not hard. It's just a little ambiguous. So it says the Gemara, Tanan. Hatinaikis ein ma'aynos abiyam kippa. Al mechan chmei our Mishnah lefnei shana, which is 2 years before. Lefnei shana sign, which is 3 years before. Bishleim Rav Huna Rav Nachman lefnei shana lefnei shana sayim nicha, right? Elo Rabbi Yochanan kasha. Rabbi Yochanan only has a 1 and a 2. He doesn't have a 2 and a 3. So Amalach Rabbi Yochanan my shana shana sayim. What does that mean? Take out the word lefnei. It means samach lepirkan. It means what? It means a year before or 2 years before. A year before the perek or 2 years before the perek. For a healthy person, it's a year before. For unhealthy, it's 2 years before. It's the opposite. 2 years for healthy, 1 year for unhealthy. The Tashma, the Tani Rabbi of Shmuel, Tinoikis, Ein Ma'ayin Resem Yom Kippur. Tinoikis, we don't go ahead and make them fast. El Mechanchim Oisoi, we're Mechanich Shana, Oishina Sayim, Samach Lepirkon. So that makes sense. 1 or 2 years before 12 or 13. Bishlam Rabbi Yochanan Nicha, El Rav Huna Rav Nachman Kasha, because they need a 2 and a 3. They need 2 years before the perek or 3 years before the perek. And here it says 1 year before the perek or 2 years before. Once you get the 1 and 2, 2, 3 down, the whole thing goes, guys. Guys, you're all good, yeah? You're all good. Okay. Amalach Rabbanan, my chinuch nami diktani is hashlama. Oh, you know what it means? It means the hashlama. It means this. Over here, this is going to be 1 year, for 1 year or 2 years, depending on if you're healthy or not. Before hashlama d'Rabbanan, not before this, before this. So let's say you're a female. So yud to yud base for a chayla, and test to yud base for a non-chayla. That would give you your 1 year and 2 years. And the hashlama d'Rabbanan, that's what he says. Okay. Says the Gemara. I have a Tanya Ezo Chinuch Chayrog Alechel b'Shtei Shoyis Machin L'Say L'Shalosh B'Shalosh Machin L'Say Ba'Arba. So l'Chayra, I Frag Gemara. Umi Kari L'Chinuch Hashlama. Do we call Chinuch Hashlama? In other words, we don't call Chinuch Hashlama. We call Chinuch for hours, not for completion, right? But Tanya Ezo Chinuch Chayrog Alechel b'Shtei Shoyis Machin L'Say L'Shalosh. B'Shalosh Machin L'Say Ba'Arba. So you see, it's hours. It's not Hashlama. So I'm a Rabbi Ravula, Trei Chinuch have. There's 2 types of chinuch. There's one chinuch of Hashlama, and there's one chinuch of Shois. Let me tell you, see if I did the right pshat over here. I'm not sure I told you the right pshat. This is 2. I would say, okay, I'm not sure about the last pshat, but we're going to go by there. We'll do what we do. Says the Mishnah, famous Gemara. This is a Velt's Gemara, and very famous Gemara. It's so famous we all know it. Ubra sharicha, an ubra that smells. A woman's pregnant, and she gets an unbelievable pang, desire. What's that called? When the women have a craving, right? Unbelievable craving. So it's not, the Gemara says it's not the woman that's craving, it's the Uber that's craving. You feed her until what? Until she's, that's it. A chayla, you need 2 doctors, Rashi says, to go ahead and ask them that they have to eat. And if there's no doctors there, the chayla says they have to eat, you feed them until they say it's enough. A nuba that smells kachim and it's a non-kayin, she can't eat it. Or basa chazer, or worse, basa chazer, and the uber gets a taiva. In other words, as a desire, craving for something that what? It's not mutter. What should you do? Take a little splinter, put it in the reitiv, and let the mother suck on it. It's in the yashvadaita. If that's going to go ahead and calm down the uber, mutav, great. If him lav, then machil say reitiv atzma. You don't not go ahead and you don't have to go ahead and do it one step more. Take a ladle, take the soup, and feed, but not the meat itself. Not the meat itself. Tray for meat. If you have yishuv adas, it does the job. Mutiv. If not, you feed mamish the shuman, the mamish the zach itself. So we begin. So in other words, what we do is we minimize the amount of isser. We start off just with a little splint of food, then the full soup, and then finally what the zach itself. Okay, because there's nothing that stands between nefesh, ella the big 3, avoid the zargi, and now the Gemara is going to go through these 3 sources of Velt's famous Gemara. Avoid the zar minalan. How do you know avoid the zara that what you die? How are you supposed to die? How do you, if someone says, "Do you avoid the zara? I'm going to kill you"? How are you supposed to die? The Tanya, in Noime b'chol nafshecha. What did we say in the Kriya Shema b'chol nafshecha? Lama Noime b'chol moedecha. In Noime b'chol moedecha, Lama Noime b'chol nafshecha. So in Yesh Lecha Adam shegufay chav v'lav, if a person that his life is more important to him than his money, Allah mimay kach nema b'chol nafshecha. Whatever is more dear to you, be willing to give up because of a hafta. Be willing to give it up because of the Rabbi Shalom. So again, you're giving up your life for the Rabbi Shalom, meaning someone's asking you to rebel against Hashem by serving Avodah Zarah, and you say, you know what, my life is very dear to me, it doesn't make a difference. I'm willing to give up my life, right? Avodah Zarah, I give up my life. If a person that his money is mochaviv, megufay, and then it says over him, if it's money, we say, even with your money, give up all your money, whatever it is. Now, when you think about money, you're thinking about a guy who's, I used to think, oh, this guy is crazy, right? So there's a Rashi, meaning, how can your money or your life, right? What does that mean? So Rashi says in Chulin, Daf Tzadik Aleph, the Heima Noshim Hamisparnasim be'emuna, ve'ein poishtin yedayim begezel. These are people who they allow their money to define them, meaning they're squeaky clean, they pay their taxes, they don't cheat on a dime, they report their tips to the waiters, they do everything. So therefore, the money's chaviv because it's made on them of their tzidkus. It's a nice to hear, right? It's not some as a guy who is stooping money into his safe deposit back on his mattress because he loves his money. It's people whose money defined them. Like Yaakov Avinu went back for Pachim Ketanim, right? Because everything in his life, there was no gezel, it's squeaky clean. So that's such a person. Okay? Therefore, we know that no matter what, by the Zara, you give up. The bottom line is, by the Zara, you give up your life, whatever it is, you give it up for Rabbi Shalom. The Tanya. Okay, so here's this pasuk. This pasuk is by Nairum Marasa. A Nairum Marasa is a girl who's engaged, and now a man she's engaged, meaning in Yiddishkeit, that means she's an Eishes Ish, but she doesn't live with her husband yet. And now a person's going to rape her. So the pasuk says, the Naira don't do anything to her. There's no to the Naira, there's no chet maves. Just like a person goes up against his friend who it's sach and he kills him. So right, you're discussing Naira Marasa, and we make a comparison to murder. So the Gemara is going to go ahead and say, there's something about Naira Marasa that teaches us about murder. There's something about murder that teaches us about Naira Marasa. That's why the pasuk brings it in both. It juxtaposes murder next to Naimur Rasa, and we're going to go ahead and learn something one from the other. Let's see it inside. The Tanya, Rabbi Yomer, Ki kashayakum ish arayehu uritzachai nefesh kein adav hazeh chima inyan lamadu meritzeach l'naimur rasa. What do you learn from Naimur Rasa Meritzeach? What is there to learn from there? What do you learn? Says Rashi, Shu ki mishpat aritzeach ke mishpat adav hazeh. Just like the law is by Ritzayach, so is the law by Naimur Rasa. In other words, what does it come to go? Says the Gemara, Elahari Zeb Bolalamed, Avodah Zarah is murder is coming to teach me something about Naimur Rasa, and I know it already. Ma Naimur Rasa, Nitin Latzila Benafshay. If you see a person going ahead and wants to rape a girl, you can kill her. After Ritzayach, so too, if you see someone to go kill a person, you can kill the person. And just like Maroit Seach Yereg Val Yavar, just like Seach, if someone says, kill this person or I'll kill you, that you are supposed to die, Afnaim Rasa Yereg Val Yavar, if someone says, I'll kill you unless you boil this naira, you die. So each one is teaching me something about the other. Murder is teaching me Naram Rasa that you can kill the murderer, just like you killed the one going after the naira. And Naira is teaching me what about and Reitzech is teaching me something about Naira, just like Reitzech is Yereg Val Yavar, you die rather than go ahead and kill the other person. So too by Naira Rasa, rather than being boiled in Naira, you got to die. That's it. That's the halacha. Each one. So now, back in Reitzech Kufa Minolan, Reitzech Kufa Minolan that it's that you have to Yereg Val Yavar. Guy comes and says, listen, kill him or I'll kill you. Svarahu, you don't need a pasuk, it's a svara. Now, who the asal kamei, the Rava, came in front of Rava or Rabba, Amalei, Amali Mari Deroi, the Mari, the head of the city, told me, Katli Leplanya, kill so-and-so, V'iloi katil mulcha, and if not, I'm going to kill you. If not, I'm going to go ahead and kill you. So Amalei, the kadalcha, you got to get killed, and don't kill. Why? My chaz is the damei didach saimek tfei. Why do you think your blood is redder? Dilma dama dahu gavra saimek tfei. Maybe the dam of dahu gavra. Maybe his blood is redder. Like why so? Bottom line is we see le'inyan gili aroyas v'naira le'inyan murder shvichas damim. That's Yereg Val Yavar. So now we know avodah zarah from Kriya Shema b'chol nafshecha b'chol meidecha. And we learned the comparison for Naimur Rasa to Ritzayach. Now what? It's Yereg Val Yavar. That you're supposed to go ahead and die. This is a sugya rucha. You can see this used twice over here. I think it's beyond the scope of this Erev Shabbos when I want to get out of here quickly possible. Share, okay? Just off the top of my head, there's a Maisa in Shmuel where there was this guy Sheva ben Bichri. He was moirid, and he came to a town, and they surrounded the town, and they said, "Give him up, or we'll kill you." And they give it up. When it's a genoidika person, like in this situation, the Shulchan Aruch seems to say, if I remember, there's a grud that you give him up because he did something wrong. You know he did something wrong. So in other words, you have a shiloh of Masira. Guy is if it's going to endanger a whole community, there's big shilohs about this. That this Yereg Val Yavar, everyone dying rather than one person. Okay, getting back to the Indian, which is what women smelling food and the child craving. So Hadahu Gavra, okay, Hahi Ubra, there was this Uber, the Orcha that smelled, meaning it had taiva. Asla made the Rebbe, the woman came in front of Rebbe, Amalahu, Zil Sushala, go ahead and whisper to her that it's Yom Kippur. Whisper, no, this child is a craving. Whisper that it's Yom Kippur. Zila lachushala, the yuma de kippurahu. Go, Kenny, we're on the Amid base, 3 lines from the bottom. Go ahead and whisper the yuma de kippurahu, that it's Yom Kippur. Lachushala, they whispered that it's Yom Kippur. Bis lachisha, and she was, and she was, and it worked. In other words, the woman, she stopped her craving. The baby, not the woman, the baby stopped the craving. The baby stopped the craving, and which seems to be a very, very chashuv thing. as the Gemara now says, he brings a pasuk, right? And the Gemara says, Kori Aleha. Kori Aleha, they went ahead and they said the following: B'terem et sarcha babeten yidaticha. B'terem, before at sarecha, that I put you together, I conceived you, babeten, in the stomach, yidaticha, I knew you. Right? You know, I was makadesh you. So nafik mina Rabbi Yochanan. So this baby who listened and gave up his craving because it was Yom Kippur, you see his nekudas habachira was really special, and therefore and that baby was Rabbi Yochanan. That baby was the great Tana, the great Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Conversely, Hahi Ubra the Orcha, that also smelled, the craved, also made the Rabbi Chanina. Amalahu Lachashla, go whisper to her, that's Yom Kippur. But the child was not accepting this, and they had to go ahead and feed the mother. So Kari Alaha, the following pasuk, it says, Zayru Rishoy Merechem. The wicked, they are Zaru, I don't know what Zaru from the Art School says they're estranged from the womb. They became like the lesson of Zarim, they become strangers from the womb. Right? Nafek Minay Shapsoi Otzaperi. And that child was Shapsi, the Otzaperi, the person who would go ahead and keep produce, and he would hoard it until the price went up. He caused inflation, and then he would sell it to the poor at an expensive price. So he was a Russia. So therefore, that was. I wish you a very, very good Shabbos. A happy 4th.
Learn tomorrow night.